Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto. Today it's another photo walk and this is Tuomas. He's been in my videos before, maybe you remember him. Today we have a small camera fun photo walk coming up and we're going to share some tips and tricks on how to make the best out of your small camera and also a big camera. What do you say?
I say, let's have fun.
So today it's gonna be a small camera photo walk. I have the Ricoh G3X, the new HDF version with the soft filter, and you have, what do you have?
Sony RX100VA.
Tuomas, you can start. What is your first tip for compact small camera street photography?
I would say reflections. It's very easy to take the camera close to a puddle, take a photo through a window. Also, like, it works with a big camera as well, of course, but it's just so easy if you just have it on your hand all the time and just like take quick snaps. It's very easy. So what would be your first tip for compact street shooting?
My first tip, and this works for every camera, my tip would be shoot in a crowded place. I've said this before in some of my videos. If you are in a crowded place with a lot of people around you, it's so much easier to get pictures with people and find interesting situations. And no one is paying attention to one guy or a girl with a camera if there's a lot of people around. If there's just you and someone else, you are so obvious and you sort of stick out too much. But choose a crowded place, it's a lot more convenient and easier that way. There was something you wanted to add to the reflection tip.
Yeah, there's a couple of times there's been this funny situation when I've been taking a reflection photo and
through a glass,
and there was someone sitting inside and they were staring at me like, why are you taking my photo so long? And what are you doing there?
And you were actually concentrating on the reflection.
Exactly, like the composition, trying out different compositions.
Hey Tuomas, I wanted to ask you about your shooting style or shooting behavior, because you shoot a lot from the hip, which I almost never do. How do you get it right, the composition and the framing and everything?
If you're used to a certain focal length, for example, if I shoot a lot with Fuji X100 series, so I'm really used to the focal length, and that's you just know when the subject is just a couple of meters away. You know how the focal length behaves in that situation, how the composition works.
How does it work with the Sony? You have a zoom lens on the Sony. It's not the same as the lens on the Fuji. So how does it work on that?
Well, to be honest, at first it was a little bit tricky because I'm not used to using the zoom lens, but it's quite wide. It's 24 millimeter equivalent. So
at the wide end.
At the wide end, and it's really easy to go close to people, take photos, because it's so unnoticeable because it's so small.
All right.
But also when I start the camera, I usually quickly just zoom a little bit in so that it's around 45 millimeter, 35 millimeter. So then it's quite familiar to me.
All right.
That way. And just in case, there's a viewfinder as well.
Oh yes, what Tuomas just said, it makes so perfect sense to me. If you keep your gear setup simple, shoot with the same lens every time, you get familiar with the setup, the lens, the angle of view, and it makes everything so much easier and it increases your keeper rate.
That's right. My next tip for street photos is having layers in your image.
What do you mean by layers?
I always try to have a background and a foreground.
And something in the middle.
And the subject is in the middle, because that gives some depth to the image. And even better if there's something happening in the background, there's the subject and there's something happening in the foreground. That would be awesome. But that's hard.
I want to ask one more thing related to that. Do you keep the depth of field shallow, or do you want everything in focus, background, middle, and for the foreground?
Depends on where I am shooting. If there's a lot of things happening, for example, a busy street scene, I try to have the depth of field so that everything is crystal clear in the and focus in the image. But when it gets dark, of course, then you have to shoot with the aperture wide open. So that changes things. Just a while ago, you said to me that you always like to use the viewfinder, but in the Ricoh, there's no viewfinder. How do you explain this? Tell me right now.
I can't explain why this camera doesn't have a viewfinder, but I can explain how this is one of my favorite cameras. Over the last few years, I have learned to live without a viewfinder, but in the past, before that, I was pretty like a strong supporter of a viewfinder, and I pretty much thought that any camera without a viewfinder is a piece of crap. But now I don't mind. I just turn up the brightness of the screen and I'm just fine with this, and I actually this has changed my whole like shooting style or behavior a little bit. I use the back screen also on my other cameras much more today.
So you have another tip?
Yes, of course I have many tips, but the next one is shoot alone. Today I'm shooting with Tuomas, and we'll see how this goes, but my recommendation is to shoot alone if you really want some results, because when you're alone you tend to concentrate more on your photography. Turn off your phone and put away all the possible distractions and concentrate your mind on your photography. Whenever you are with a friend or in a group, you tend to socialize and not take so many pictures. That is my tip.
That's true. It's so much easier to get in the zone when you are shooting alone.
In the zone, yes. In the flow.
Flow and zone, yeah.
Yeah, flow zone.
Now that Ricoh you have, it's the new HDF version,
Yes.
which has a black mist or a black diffusion filter.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it?
To be honest, I don't much care about the filter. I'd much rather have the regular version with the ND filter. I don't really understand the trend, the hype around the black mist filter.
I like those.
Yeah, but you're so young. No, seriously, I mean, I guess sometimes if you shoot in low light nighttime city photos, it might work, but I'm not still too crazy about it. And now it's like the brightest time of the year here in Finland. It's not even dark, so I can't really try out the night photography part.
The ND filter is more usable for you, right?
Yeah, I think it's more useful, at least for my photography. But I'm sure many people love this like this, otherwise they wouldn't even make the whole thing. What's happening?
Fuji time, Fuji time.
What? I thought we were going to shoot on compact, tiny cameras, and now you are pulling out your Fuji.
It's quite compact.
That's a huge thing.
Enormous. Yes.
My first time holding this Fuji X100V or 6 or whatever it is called, I'm not sure. It feels good in my hand. You know, guys, I pre-ordered this thing, but it took so long and nothing happened, so I canceled and bought another camera. Do I regret that? I'm not sure, but it feels nice in my hand. I have to give it that.
You said that you don't like the black diffusion or black mist filters, but I always have one attached here.
You're a hipster. You have to have it.
I guess I am. No, I'm not. But I like it, especially when I'm shooting in low light, but also like the sunny days like this. I think it gives a nice little soft touch, little bloom to the photos.
One more tip coming up, at least one more, and this is like a combined tip. I think you should always shoot whenever you see something that's remotely interesting, you think that it might be a shot. Take it and think later.
Exactly. When you go through your photos, you start to see what's good in them, what's bad in them.
Yeah.
And you you train your eye to take photos by taking photos.
Yes.
So even if it's not the best shot in the world, and you're not gonna win any prizes with that, it's still worth taking and analyzing and just doing it.
Yes. Always, whenever you see something that you think is interesting, take the picture, and think later, because that's how you will learn.
Now I saw something interesting there.
You are very active here in Helsinki and you shoot a lot. How do you feel shooting in familiar environment, in the familiar corners over and over again? Is it good or bad?
Both, but I would say good. Because you know how the light is performing and the different time of the day, different time of the year. There might be some special characters, some old guy coming to the same cafe every day reading newspaper at the same time. You start to notice these little things, and it forces you to be more creative. Of course, I like shooting in a new place. It's really it's so inspiring to see new scenes that you haven't seen before. But still, always go around your neighborhood and take a lot of photos. I do know my dear Fuji so well. I know all the settings so well, but it's never ready for the right moment.
Tuomas, what makes you go out with your camera?
It just clears my mind. I forget all my duties and my stress and everything. It's just I'm just focused on taking photos and my surroundings.
So it's like a therapy.
It's therapeutic, yes.
One super nice thing with a tiny camera like this is that it's so easy to use it with only one hand. That's all this time. Thanks so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed this little photo walk, photo tip video. And if you enjoyed it a lot, please do consider buying me a coffee so I can buy Tuomas a coffee. And make sure to check out his Instagram feed. He has some really, really cool stuff there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice to have you. Hope we can do this soon again.
Yes, it was fun.
All right, thanks guys. Until next one, bye.
Ciao.